Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss slope. A lot of you know slope as the tilt of a line, okay? And over here on this left side, this shows you the four different types of slopes that we can have. We can have a positive slope if I look from left to right and this line is going upward. I have a negative slope if looking from left to right, the line goes downward. Zero slopes, such as your floor, are things that you can walk on. They're horizontal, but undefined slopes are slopes that are completely vertical. Okay, we definitely can't walk up a wall. We can find slope by using the slope formula and the coordinates of 2 points. We've already talked about y equals mx plus b, but you can also find slope using rise and run on a graph. Okay, so we're going to focus on the formula and the graph. So here we are given 2 points, and here m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. This is our slope formula. The 2's and the 1's just refer to the 2 points that you're given, and you can decide which is going to be point 1 and which is going to be point 2. Remember, the x coordinate comes first and the y coordinate comes second. So here in our example, I'm given the 2 points, -2, -2, and 4, 1, and they asked me to find the slope. Plugging into the problem, I need my y variables on top. So I take the y2, which is 1, minus the -2. So you must have this minus in the problem. Okay, it always has to be visible in the equation. Then the x's go on the bottom. x2 is 4 minus the -2 for x1. 4 minus -2. Now we all know that two negatives make a positive, so this becomes 1 plus 2 and 4 plus 2, which gives us 3/6, which is the same as 1/2. We always want to reduce when we can. There are problems with this because what if you forget the minus? Or what if we forget that two negatives make a positive? So sometimes this causes people issues and they don't like it very much. So we can do the same thing with vertical math. Instead of subtracting out our coordinates, we're going to subtract the 2 points. So in a sense, we are subtracting the x's and we are subtracting the y's. So when this happens, I write my 2 points, and now I'm going to subtract -2 minus 4, and that gives me -6. -2 minus 1 gives me -3. But now I'm going to use this rise over run. Okay, when we use the rise over the run, get a color here for you. Okay, rise is y's over runs x's. So remember, this is the x and the y. So -3 divided by -6. And once again, negative divided by negative is positive, and 3 divided by 6 is 1/2. So you can see I get the same answer that I got with the original. Okay. All right. So now let's try, we will do the first problem using the original formula, and we will do the second problem doing the math vertically, so you can have a choice. All right, so with this first one, we're going to call this point 1. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So in using my formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. 4 plus 1 is 5. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. And 5 divided by negative 5 is negative 1. So it turns out this time that slope is negative 1. It's a whole number. Okay. All right, let's do example 2 using the vertical method. So I have 0, negative 3, negative 1, 5, and I want to subtract 0 minus the negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. Okay, and now I need to do rise over run. So that would be negative 8 over 1, which is the same as negative 8. And once again, we end up with a whole number this time. So with our formulas, we have a choice whether we do the regular formula or whether we do the formula vertically. Okay, so we're going to continue over to the graphing side. When we're reading graphs with slope, we're worried about rise over run. Okay, the rise, of course, being up and down, and the run being left and right. But we have to deal with positive slopes and negative slopes. Okay, so depending on how you rise and run, you must use direction here. So if I'm looking at a staircase and I say we'll start from the lowest point, then I'm going up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. So this is a rise every time of 2 and a run every time of 3. And I'm always going in a positive direction, up being positive, to the right being positive. So the slope of the staircase is 2/3. But if I start on a graph and I have a negative slope, then we have a choice. So here I could start from the left and I am now going down 6 and over 12. So the down represents negative 6 and to the right represents positive 12. Okay, so therefore I have a slope of negative 6 over 12, which is negative 1/2. Okay, or I could have gone up first. If I counted from this point, I could have gone up positive 6, and then I could have turned and gone to the left negative 12, and this would still give me this negative 1/2, because in this case, rise over run, 6 divided by negative 12 is still negative 1/2. So you can see it didn't matter whether I went down to the right or up to the left. You have to count, are you heading in the positive direction or the negative direction? And I know from looking at this graph from left to right, this is going downhill, so I know my answer for slope should be negative. Okay, so let's try a few and see how we do. All right, so here I am going to start at the bottom and we're using rise over run. So I'm going up, okay, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going up positive 3, and then I'm going to the right. Okay, so I went up positive 3, and I'm going to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, positive 6. So rise over run, positive 3 over positive 6 is the same as 1/2, positive 1/2. And I know it's positive because it's from left to right. This is going uphill. Okay, now number 2, this is vertical. Remember, I can't walk up a wall, so this slope happens to be undefined. Okay, if I am looking at an undefined slope, that looks like 3 divided by 0. Or 8 divided by 0. Okay, anything that is divide by 0 here is an undefined slope. So you would want to write that as undefined. Okay, here at this problem, okay, I'm looking at a horizontal line. So this slope is equal to 0 because this is like your floor. You can walk a floor. Okay, so this slope is 0. There's no calculations or counting at all here. Okay, so back to number 4. Here I need to rise and run. So I'm going to start from the bottom. I'm going to rise up, positive 1, and then I'm going to run to the right, 2, positive 2. So once again, rise over run, 1 over 2. And this is positive. The line is going uphill. All right, number 5. If I want to rise, I'm finding the lowest point here, and I'm going to rise up. I'm rising up positive 2, and then I'm going to run over to the left this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. That means I'm going in the direction of negative numbers to the left here. So that is negative 4. So our slope, the rise, which is 2, the run is negative 4, so this is a negative 1/2 slope. Okay, downhill. All right, it just so happened all my slopes came out to be a 1/2 or a negative 1/2. Not intentional, but I hope you've got the idea.